right, thank you. Excuse me, everybody down.
How's it going, sir?
Right.
Thank you.
Guys, sit down, please.
Right.
Phones down.
Okay. Is everybody good with the shot?
No.
Yes?
You can't stand up because they're coming.
Good by the press?
Sit down.
Is Joe Anuda sitting on the floor somewhere? No? My goodness.
Stills, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. One year ago this month, hundreds of New Yorkers gathered on a bright and bitterly cold Saturday morning right here at Grand Army Plaza. It was 6 months before the Democratic primary for mayor. We were in the low single digits in the polls at best. Every ounce of conventional wisdom said that our campaign was not supposed to work. Surely there was a better way to spend a Saturday than knocking on doors, talking to strangers, and crossing the small but real distances that separate us from one another. And yet, New Yorkers showed up at a moment when so many people feel isolated from one another and distant from a political system that can feel closed or unresponsive. They made a deliberate choice, not to be bystanders, but to become participants. Their own politics and their own vision for New York City being the driving force behind what they were going to do. And that meant knocking on doors of people who lived just blocks away but whom they had never met. It meant asking questions instead of assuming answers. It meant listening instead of lecturing, finding common ground. And that experience taught us something simple and profound. Democracy works best when people are not treated as an audience, but as an active part of it. Governing demands the same. That is why we are here today. We are gathered at Grand Army Plaza, surrounded by powerful symbols of public life. The central branch of the Brooklyn Public Library, designed like an open book, a statement that knowledge should be shared and accessible to all. The Soldiers and Sailors Arch, a Civil War monument honoring those who fought in a war waged for a new birth of freedom and the expansion of democracy itself. Prospect Park. Public space built not to be exclusive or ornamental, but to be shared. These are reminders of a belief that once guided this city, that public infrastructure should be generous, beautiful, and open. But a city is not held together by buildings alone. It is held together by trust and by whether people feel connected to the decisions that shape their life. That social infrastructure has been neglected for too long. Too often, engagement is fragmented or symbolic. Too often, people are asked for input, but never see how it shapes outcomes. Today, that changes. With the signing of this executive order, we will be establishing the Mayor's Office of Mass Engagement. A fundamental part of city government dedicated to rebuilding our social infrastructure at scale. This office, combining and reorienting the existing Community Affairs Unit, Public Engagement Unit, and other initiatives, starts from a simple premise. Working New Yorkers know what they need to thrive. Our job is to make sure government listens, consistently and with real consequence. The Office of Mass Engagement will organize participation across this city, proactively reach those that have been excluded, and ensure that public feedback is embedded directly into how we design policies, deliver services, and make decisions. And to lead this work, I am proud to announce that Tasha Van Alen will serve as commissioner. Since President Obama's first campaign in 2008 to her leadership in New York City DSA, Tasha has spent more than a decade organizing at scale, developing leadership, building trust, and helping working people turn priorities into action. On our campaign, she mobilized more than 100,000 volunteers who knocked on more than 3 million doors. Not just to win an election, but to build leadership and a real sense of community across the city. She also spent many years working at the Blue Man Group, which means she brings both organizing discipline and an unusual tolerance for chaos. The Office of Mass Engagement reflects how we intend to govern, with humility, openness, and a firm belief that democracy is strongest when it belongs to the people, not just in theory, but in practice. And we should be clear about how this work will be judged, not by how many meetings we hold or surveys we collect, but by whether people can see their voices reflected in the decisions that we make. Judge us by whether engagement changes outcomes. Just as past generations invested in the public spaces around us, this administration is investing in the civic fabric that holds our city together. And that same commitment to openness, participation, and rebuilding trust in our institutions guides how we approach every part of city government. That is why today I am also announcing that Ali Najmi will serve as chair of the Mayor's Advisory Committee on the Judiciary. Under Ali's leadership, this committee will take on a more public and engaged role, reaching beyond City Hall to the wider legal community, demystifying the judicial selection process, expanding who participates in shaping our courts, and ensuring that our city's judicial system applies the rule of law universally and does so without favor. This includes proactive engagement with legal services organizations, bar associations, and minority and affinity bars, with the goal of widening the pipeline and strengthening confidence in our judiciary. Ali is a civil rights and election attorney with deep experience in our local courts, a longtime bar association leader who has helped diversify the judiciary in Queens, and someone I've known and admired for more than a decade, as a friend, an attorney, and a leader in this city. Tasha Van Alen, Ali, welcome to a new era in our city. I look forward to building it with you together.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to everyone who's here today. As a kid growing up in Park Slope and later Flatbush, the Brooklyn Public Library, this branch, was a constant in my life. Its soaring facade and open entrance felt like an invitation, a promise that knowledge, curiosity, and possibility belonged to everyone. I spent hours inside of there researching school papers, scrolling through microfilm, not to date myself here, but lots of time with microfilm, trying to make sense of the world and my place in it. I didn't know it then, but I was learning something essential, that when public spaces are built with care and openness, they don't just serve cities, they help shape the people who move through them. That lesson deepened for me at Edward R. Murrow High School, where I was profoundly influenced by the late principal Saul Bruckner. He believed fiercely in young people and in the role public institutions can play in helping them find their voice. He taught generations of students that they mattered and that participation wasn't reserved for someone else. And yet, despite that early confidence, I spent many years trying to figure out how to engage politically in a way that felt meaningful, something that went beyond a one-off protest or a single campaign, but built power over time. That clarity started during the first presidential campaign of Barack Obama. It was there that I learned the transformative power of relationships, from learning alongside volunteer leaders to the simple but powerful act of canvassing a stranger. What I learned in 2008 stayed with me. through organizing with the New York City Democratic Socialists of America, and later serving in government as Chief of Staff to Assemblywoman Farah Souffrant-Forrest, I kept returning to the same question. How do we build participation that lasts, where people don't just show up once, but develop the confidence and the relationships to shape real outcomes? That question came into sharp focus this past year. In Mayor Mamdani's campaign, more than 100,000 volunteers knocked on over more than 3 million doors across the city. But those aren't abstract numbers. They represent millions of conversations between neighbors who might never otherwise have met. They represent relationships built, confidence gained, and civic capacity that will last beyond any single campaign. Many of those incredible volunteers and organizers are standing with us today. You all changed New York City, and I'm so grateful to you. At a time when so many people feel cynical, overwhelmed, or isolated, often alone with their phones, we found a way back to one another. Some of the most meaningful moments for me were when somebody would say, "I never thought of myself as political," and then describe the community and purpose that they found through this work. In many cases, it didn't just change how they saw politics, it changed how they saw themselves. That is what brings me to this role and to the work of the Office of Mass Engagement. The Office of Mass Engagement is about taking that ethos and making it part of how government works. It brings together public engagement efforts that have too often been siloed, streamlining them under a single coordinated office with the responsibility to make engagement meaningful across City Hall. It's about organizing participation at scale, strengthening feedback loops so public input shapes policy, and building the relationships and systems, human and digital, that make long-term co-governance possible. As Commissioner, my commitment is simple and serious: to help build a government that works for all New Yorkers, invites them in, and treats their participation as consequential. A government that doesn't just ask for input, but acts on it, and one that helps New Yorkers see themselves not as spectators, but as co-creators of our shared future. I'm deeply honored to take on this responsibility. And I'm excited to build this work alongside the mayor, our partner agency, and most importantly, the people of this city. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for appointing me to be your chair of this advisory committee on the judiciary. As an attorney who has litigated in the courts of this city for 15 years, I know and I have seen firsthand the power that judges have on people, regular people, working people, and attorneys. And it is this committee's directive to find and recruit the best judges in the city of New York, the most qualified, the ones who understand what it means for people to appear before them in criminal court, in family court. And it is the directive of this committee to reach out to the wider legal community and to the attorneys who have toiled for indigent legal services, for the attorneys who have represented families, who have represented parents and children in family court, who have dedicated their lives to making this city and this state a more just place. To those attorneys, I want to tell you that you have an opportunity to also become a judge, and that this committee will reach out to every nook and cranny of this legal community to encourage that we have the best, most robust, diverse applicant pool for the judiciary. Mr. Mayor, thank you for entrusting me with this service.
Down in front, please. Guys.
Down.
Everybody down. The fur hat. Excuse me. Stills, everybody down.
Down.
Stills.
Can everyone go down? Have a good week. Thank you.
Bills.
You okay back there? Yeah. Matt, you want me to move, Matt? Matt, talk to me.
Guys, you need to step back, please. Thank you.
Can you have him hold the paper, please?
Yes, yes.
Oh, he's gonna hold the paper.
And let's just do one still picture in the middle if possible.
Can you hold the legislation?
One still
Mayor,
picture.
can you hold the legislation? Thank you. Here we go. One this way, please. Everybody, here we go. Down the middle, please. Thank you so much. Down the middle. 4 TVs in the back.
Great, thank you guys. All right, now we're going to take questions. Everyone can take 10 steps back, please. Thank you.
Back, everyone, please. Back. Behind the
Back
scenes.
to your back. Get back. Don't sit on me. I'm handy back.
I'm sitting. I'm an old man.
We start with on topics about the 2 officers.
All right, just before we start on topics, if we can have one last round of applause for Tasha Van Alen. And now we can begin with all the on-topic questions.
Mr. Mayor, how are you doing?
How's it going? A little colder than I thought, so I'm going to put the gloves on for a second.
Real leather or?
I have a question. Can I do an on-topic after So the on-topic is about the office, the new engagement office. Obviously, we work a lot on the campaign side, and it's like that's separate from government, separate C4, that's kind of our responsibility forces. Can you explain what are like the legal differences in what you're going to do and what that group will work before? Like, how do they differ? And then a follow-up.
So I'll just speak a little bit to it if you want to add anything, feel free. The work of civic engagement has existed before. Today it has been a part of city government. However, it has often been siloed in different parts of city government infrastructure, sometimes under different offices, sometimes through different initiatives. Part of the intent of this executive order is not just to create a new office of mass engagement, but also to cohere all of the work that is already being done into one place, so that we can ensure that it's not duplicative and it's actually fulfilling its intent. And then the other part of this is to transform what government deems to be acceptable when it comes to public engagement and outreach. Oftentimes, the outreach and engagement of city government is done with an intention to justify a decision that's already been taken. The point of this office is, however, to make decisions with a large part being what the public actually thinks about those decisions. And I can think of no one better than this New Yorker to my left, who fundamentally reshaped what so many across the city, including myself, thought was possible in terms of the engagement in a citywide race to bring more than 100,000 people out to knock on doors and make phone calls.
What's the budget for this new office? And then also, is this, I know today is just day 2, but is this also a way to ensure that you are able to keep everybody engaged so you can get reelected again?
I have to tell you, this is done with the intention of delivering for New Yorkers today, delivering for New Yorkers every single day. And I think what is so critical is that we have an opportunity in this moment where New Yorkers are allowing themselves to believe in the possibility of city government once again. That is not a belief that will sustain itself in the absence of action, in the absence of actually delivering for them. And so it is right now, in a moment like this, where we need to institute this kind of an office, this kind of an approach. And I would also say there is a through line between the actions taken to establish this new office and also the appointment of Ali Najmi in leading the recruitment and outreach efforts for our judicial system. Because too often, the ability for a New Yorker to become a judge has been determined by who they know as opposed to the work that they do. And what Ali is going to bring forth is a newfound focus on ensuring that not only does our judicial system reflect the city that it serves, but also that it reflects a commitment to excellence and an application of the law in a universal manner.
How many employees? Will they be civil service or will they be appointees?
There are a number of employees within this office that are already working for the city within previously existing offices, and then the specifics of how it will expand beyond that is something that we will be sharing today.
I was talking to Sal Albanese this morning, and he said one of your best qualities is you're a really good listener.
That's very kind of him.
With respect to this new agency, can you give us an example of a time where you spoke to the public or a group of stakeholders and it made you change your mind on a certain policy or issue?
You know, a few years ago, I was an assembly member conducting a number of meetings on the MTA. My chief of staff, L. Bisgard Church, and I were looking to put together a campaign in Albany that would look to fix the MTA. And so we had meetings with journalists, meetings with policy experts, meetings with MTA officials themselves. It was actually an MTA official who told me in one of those meetings that if you really cared about equity, you would focus more on the bus. And it was soon after in a meeting that I had with a friend of mine, Alicia Singh, who brought up the fact that in order to deliver not only in terms of economic relief, but also in terms of public safety, this would mean it's a pretty good song. This would mean also making buses free. And those are meetings that then informed our approach not just to that legislative session, but then actually became a hallmark of the campaign that we ran. Yes, and I think this comes back from a belief that too often in politics there is a temptation to pretend as if you have all the answers already, when in fact there is no New Yorker that has a monopoly on the answers that this city is asking questions towards. We need to have leadership and a city government that knows the answers to the most pressing questions, big and small, in this city could come from New Yorkers themselves. The answers to the very questions that are flummoxing so many in the highest levels of government could in fact be answered by those that we are currently walking past or overlooking or not even listening to. And what I so love about Tasha and her work is that she sees within each person a potential to be that leader. She gives them not only the room to grow, but the belief that they can and they must grow. And that is also something that we have to deliver for New Yorkers at large.
Hi, Darla Miles, Channel 7.
Yes, how are you?
Congratulations, day one.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
This is obviously a massive undertaking, right? Coalescing all of these individual agencies in such a large city government. On a granular level, what can you tell New Yorkers right now of what that process of streamlining that is going to look like? And then on after you already have the strategic initiative, but when they should actually expect to see something, what a timeline might look like, what the infrastructure might look like right now, and then what that timeline might be, where people can actually become involved and see some results.
Absolutely. So I think, first and foremost, this has an immediate impact in terms of restructuring city government itself, where we are taking these existing initiatives and agencies, bringing them together, and that is something that will change from today. And then it will change in terms of what we expect of ourselves and how we start to engage with the public at large. And that's partially why I said we should not be measured on the number of meetings we hold or the number of surveys that are filled out. We should in fact be measured by the way in which we incorporate that feedback into the decisions that we make. And that's something that I look forward to working with my commissioner on, to ensure that New Yorkers feel a difference in this era of New York City government, as opposed to are just told about that difference. Thank you very much.
Off topic as well, yeah. This one's still on topic. Great, that's okay. I have a question for the commissioner. Do you plan, so you're going to be getting feedback from New Yorkers to incorporate into city government, but the mayor also has this huge agenda that's going to need support from other levels of government, and there's been discussion of using DSA and using this mass volunteer movement that you've built to pressure the governor to support some of these initiatives, like taxing the rich. Is that going to be part of this office? And then I just re-up Bernadette's question about the budget and how much staff are you going to have?
So I am going to demand the world from Tasha in her new position as the commissioner of the Office of Mass Engagement, and I'm also going to give her more than 5 minutes before she gets into the position to have to answer some of the specifics around budget and personnel, though I do assure you that this is going to be an office that will have the backing of myself as the mayor of this city. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the inauguration, I mentioned in my speech that let us not allow victory to become an invitation to turn off the news. We have seen sometimes in our politics a description of success as the ability for Americans to return back to their lives. We want to make clear that our successes will be achieved together with the New Yorkers who brought us to this point and all others that call the city their home. And so that means that our agenda is not one that is going to be fought for simply behind the closed doors of city and state government, but rather one that the very New Yorkers who are here today and those that are hard at work across the city will be a part of advocating for. Because it is those New Yorkers that actually determined this agenda in the first place. And it is those New Yorkers who will be alongside us as we not only fight for this, but win this.
Hi, Mr. Najmi. Congratulations. Jesse Edwards at Hellgate. I would like to know, what are you looking to do in this position that you couldn't do from the Queen's Committee position?
Thank you. Actually, I was never... In Queens and in other counties, there's an elected process. And here, with the Mayor's Committee as chair, we will have the ability to recruit from people citywide and affect courts citywide, criminal court and family court. And what we will be able to do is have a system that's in place that will judge people on the merits of their experience, their qualifications, their commitment to public service, and we will be able to appoint many, many judges. And to have that breadth and that reach citywide is very different.
What's most broken about the system right now?
Not enough people know about this system. Not enough people know about the Mayor's Advisory Committee on the Judiciary, how to apply, and not enough people historically have had confidence that if you were not the well-connected or you were connected to a judge already, that you could be a judge. But in fact, in this administration, the people who never thought they could be a judge but deserve to be one will finally have that chance.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Jan Tellez for the Agencia F News.
Can you say your name one more time, sir?
Jan Tellez.
Jan Tellez?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
What can Latinos, the Latino community, expect from Mayor Mamdani?
You know, I would not be standing here before you as the mayor of this city were it not for the Latino New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. Latino New Yorkers, a majority of them supported us in the primary. We saw that only continue in the general. And what I've heard from so many Latino New Yorkers is a feeling that not only do they not see themselves within city government, but they don't also see their own struggles in city government. in the focuses of that government, in the priorities of that government. And what we are going to do is to deliver a city government that finally not only looks more like, but is paying more attention to the actual struggles of day-to-day New Yorkers. Latino New Yorkers face the highest levels of housing insecurity of any ethnic group in this city. When we are talking about the affordability crisis, it is hitting Latino New Yorkers at a disproportionate rate. And so when we talk about the necessity of freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, when we talk about the urgency of making the slowest buses in America fast and free, and when we talk about the importance of transforming what is currently a $22,500 a year expense to send a child to childcare, that is going to be critical in ensuring Latino New Yorkers can stay in this city. Because I have heard from far too many who still call themselves, they are Latino, they still call themselves New Yorkers, but they actually live in Pennsylvania now. They live in New Jersey. And that is because we have pushed them out of the city. It's time for us to actually not only keep New Yorkers here, but start to make those who left feel like they can actually come home.
Can I ask a two-part question in a brief follow-up?
Yes.
So, would you address the criticism on the revoking the two executive orders on antisemitism and BDS, some call it intentional? How would you respond to that? And the second part is the IRA definition on antisemitism is actually initiated a lot of major Jewish groups votes, and they support something else. Is there any measure that you would consider that would define what antisemitism is?
So I was proud yesterday to sign a number of executive orders that will give my administration a clean slate to get to work on delivering a new era for New Yorkers, one where they can envision living an affordable and dignified life. And my administration will also be marked by a city government that will be relentless in its efforts to combat hate and division. And we will showcase that by fighting hate across the city, and that includes fighting the scourge of anti-Semitism, by actually funding hate crime prevention, by celebrating our neighbors, and by practicing a politics of universality. And when we speak about the IRA definition that you asked about, protecting Jewish New Yorkers is going to be a focus of my administration, and I also know that a number, as you said, of leading Jewish organizations have immense concerns around this definition. And so what we will do is actually deliver on our commitment to protect Jewish New Yorkers in a manner that is able to actually fulfill that.
Thank you guys so much.
Sorry, there was a second question.
Would you say it wasn't intentional, that this was on day one?
In the first executive order, you, as the new mayor of a city, have to sign a continuation of all prior executive orders or a revocation or an amendment of all of them. And so what we did was to sign an executive order that continued every executive order that predated the moment when our former mayor was indicted, a moment when many New Yorkers lost even more faith in New York City politics and the ability of city government to actually prioritize the needs of the public as opposed to the needs of the person. And what we will now do is showcase that new era to protect each and every New Yorker and to deliver for those same New Yorkers in a manner that they have not seen under prior administrations. Thank you so much.
Oh, he has a nice personality. I thought I was not cold. I wasn't really bad. It was worse. Remember, I was worried. I was watching him. You too, okay? We'll see each other in the next time. Thank you, bye. Woo!
Make informed decisions with comprehensive analysis on the go.
Strengthen your portfolio with real-time market updates on the go. Create effective strategies with insightful expert opinions on the go.
Grow on the go with CNBC-TV18, now streaming live 24/7 on YouTube.
Hey, thank you for watching this on CNBC TV18. Hope you liked it. For more such interesting news and updates, follow CNBC TV18 on all the social media platforms.